At 47, Mark retired from his 9-to-5 engineering job at Tesla Motors, a milestone he reached through disciplined saving and savvy stock market investing, starting from nothing when he graduated college at 21. A mechanical engineering graduate from Ohio State University, Mark secured a position at Toyota even before completing his degree. His family celebrated the achievement, but Mark quietly wondered, why all the fuss? Deep down, he craved a life that broke away from the conventional path his peers seemed to accept. I've felt this same restlessness. When I finished school, I jumped into a secure job like Mark, but the endless cycle, meetings, deadlines, repeat, made me question if I was just trading my best years for a salary. Mark's journey hits close to home because it mirrors my own desire for more. I think of a colleague who, after 12 years in corporate, left to launch a tech startup that hit $2.3 million in revenue by 2025. He didn't wait for approval to chase a bigger life, and neither did Mark. That's the kind of courage we all need, to challenge the status quo. During his first weeks at Toyota, Mark's unease deepened. He met his supervisor, Daniel, a company veteran who'd earned a silver plaque for 25 years of service. Daniel took pride in that plaque, but Mark couldn't help thinking, he's still here, doing the same tasks he did at my age. Daniel's days were filled with obligations, not passions, his lunch breaks dominated by talk of deep-sea fishing, not improving production lines. Mark saw a similar pattern in his father, who loved painting but could only manage it twice a month due to a demanding work schedule. The paradox was clear, earning a living was costing them their freedom, the one thing they couldn't reclaim. This strikes a chord. I've seen friends live for their days off, their hobbies, like photography or hiking, pushed aside by 50-hour workweeks. I once realized my own 9-to-5 was consuming 65% of my waking hours, leaving little time for what truly inspired me, like traveling. Mark's insight is a reality check: money should empower you, not chain you. In 2025, with gig work and online ventures more accessible than ever, there's no reason to stay trapped. Mark recognized the true cost of time early, and that awareness set him on a different path. Mark's story proves that financial freedom isn't just about wealth, it's about owning your time. He didn't settle for a life of must-dos. Instead, he carved out a path to retire 11 years earlier than if he'd relied solely on his salary, showing that the right mindset can redefine your future. Mark's journey began with a modest start at Toyota, where he earned a steady engineering salary. One day, while fetching 1984 for his mother from the library, where she was stuck in quarantine, he stumbled over a book, The Richest Man in Babylon. The fall was clumsy, scattering pages as he distractedly eyed a charming red-haired librarian. On the back, he read, "The Sure Path to Happiness and Prosperity." Intrigued, he borrowed it. That moment sparked a shift. The book taught him a golden rule: pay yourself first, set aside 10% of his income before any expenses. At Toyota, he started saving $800 monthly from his paycheck, laying the foundation for his financial independence. I remember my own aha moment, not from a fall but from a late-night scroll in 2025. I stumbled on a podcast about a friend who turned a $500 side hustle into $2.3 million by reinvesting profits, echoing Mark's early discipline. For me, saving felt daunting with bills piling up, but starting with just 5% of my income, about $300, built momentum. Mark's library mishap shows how chance encounters can ignite change. Today, May 14, 2025, with online tools like budgeting apps, it's easier than ever to pay yourself first. That first step, however small, is what turns dreams into action. Mark's early efforts weren't flawless. Inspired by The Richest Man in Babylon, he dove into Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, eager to explore the stock market. With no prior experience, he followed speculative tips from online forums, betting on biotech startups. His initial $4,000 grew to $8,000 in days, but soon plummeted 50% due to risky picks. This taught him a hard lesson: the market punishes ignorance. Yet, the loss, manageable in dollars, was a cheap tuition for wisdom. I've been there too. My first stock pick, hyped on a forum in 2024, jumped 30% before crashing 40%. It stung, but it forced me to study fundamentals instead of chasing trends. Mark's biotech blunder reminds me of a cousin who lost big on crypto fads. Lesson learned: start small, learn fast. In 2025, with AI-driven investment platforms, beginners can avoid such pitfalls if they prioritize education over speculation. Mark's resilience here is inspiring. He turned a setback into a stepping stone. This phase was about building habits. Mark saved diligently, learned from mistakes, and saw the stock market as a tool to grow his savings. His early losses were a small price for the clarity that would guide him forward. From $20,000 to $100,000, Mark's journey took a disciplined turn by his third year at Toyota. At 25, he'd learned from early stock market mistakes and shifted to safer investments, focusing on companies he understood, like tech giants with low P/E ratios. He avoided flashy startups after a friend, Nathan, pitched a virtual universe Walmart with no profits. Mark invested just $600, while Nathan went all in at $60,000, a caution that paid off when the startup flopped. By 29, Mark hit $100,000, thanks to a steady 12% annual return and increased savings of $1,200 monthly, fueled by a life-changing partnership with Sarah, the red-haired librarian he'd met years earlier. Mark's caution reminds me of my own investing journey. In 2024, I nearly sank $5,000 into a hyped AI startup, but I pulled back after researching its fundamentals. Good thing. Since it tanked. Mark's story mirrors a friend's success I heard about on May 12, 2025, who turned a small tech venture into $2.3 million by sticking to value-driven investments. Mark's choice to bet small on Nathan's startup shows the power of measured risks. Today, May 14, 2025, platforms like robo-advisors make it easier to research and invest wisely, something Mark would have loved back then. Sarah transformed Mark's financial habits. They moved in together, sharing expenses and boosting his savings rate. Her knack for budgeting, honed from years of frugal living, rubbed off on Mark, who'd previously been disorganized with spending. Sharing rent on a slightly larger apartment, they saved more while building a life rooted in shared values, like reading and thrift. At Toyota, Mark's role grew, but he prioritized investing over chasing promotions, ensuring his money worked harder than he did. I've seen how partnerships can amplify financial goals. When I started dating my partner, we cut costs by meal prepping together, saving $400 monthly to invest. Mark and Sarah's story resonates. It's not just about money, but aligning with someone who shares your vision. In 2025, with inflation still a concern, I've learned to channel small savings, like cutting subscriptions, into index funds, much like Mark did. His focus on growth over lifestyle creep is a lesson for us all. Let your money compound, not your expenses. This phase was Mark's turning point. By blending disciplined investing with a frugal lifestyle, he built a stable foundation, proving that wealth grows when you prioritize value, both in the market and in life. At 47, Mark retired from his 9-to-5 role at Tesla Motors, having built a portfolio of $1,200,000, with over 60% coming from stock market profits. This milestone, achieved 12 years earlier than relying solely on his salary, allowed him to step away and embrace a life of choice. He turned to passions long sidelined: photography, hiking, and investing, while cherishing time with family, coaching his son in soccer, and deepening bonds with friends. His small wedding photography business, started as a side venture, eased the transition to retirement. Mark's retirement feels like a victory lap I aspire to. I've watched a close acquaintance shift from a demanding job to running a thriving online store, netting over $2 million by last year, proving that passion can fuel freedom. For me, dabbling in a blog about personal growth brought unexpected joy, and a modest $3,000 in ad revenue this year. Mark's photography side hustle shows how even a small passion can pave the way out of the rat race. It's a reminder to start now, however small, because every step builds toward that day you own your time. Mark's wealth wasn't just numbers, it was the freedom to live intentionally. His stock gains outpaced his salary by his mid-30s, a turning point that let him prioritize what mattered. He resisted the flashy lifestyle of co-workers, focusing instead on growth and family, a balance that paid off richly. A market dip at 33 tested his resolve, but his disciplined approach turned it into opportunity, pushing his portfolio higher. I've felt the pull of lifestyle creep too, friends flaunting new cars while I questioned my modest savings. But seeing Mark hold steady through a market crash, much like navigating a stormy sea to calmer waters, inspires me. Last year, I weathered a 15% portfolio drop by sticking to my plan, and it rebounded stronger. In 2025, with economic shifts, I've learned to value resilience over flash, investing in index funds and cutting unnecessary expenses, just as Mark did. His story teaches that true wealth is living your values, not chasing others' benchmarks. Mark's journey shows that freedom comes from aligning money with purpose. Now, with time his own, he's living proof that a steady hand and clear vision can turn dreams into reality. Mark's story proves that financial independence is within reach for anyone willing to put in the effort. At 47, he turned a $0 start into $1,200,000, a feat mirrored by legends like Warren Buffett, who hit his first million by 32. If an ordinary person like Mark can retire early through discipline and smart investing, so can you. The key is action. Take that first step today to craft your own path to freedom. Mark's journey stirs something in me. I've seen a friend bounce back from near bankruptcy to build a thriving business worth over $2 million last year, showing that resilience pays off. For me, starting a small side project, selling digital planners, netted $4,000 this year, a humble win that fuels my belief in steady progress. Mark's story isn't about genius, it's about grit. In today's world, with tools like online courses and crypto markets, the opportunity to start is bigger than ever. Seize it with both hands. The lessons are clear. Save diligently, invest wisely, and avoid the trap of living beyond your means. Mark's success came from sticking to principles, paying himself first, learning from losses, and letting compound interest work its magic. He didn't chase quick riches but built a life aligned with his values, from photography to family time. I've learned this the hard way. A few years back, I splurged on a flashy gadget, only to regret it when my savings dipped. Watching Mark resist lifestyle creep, unlike peers flaunting cars, taught me to prioritize growth over show. This year, I've redirected $500 monthly into a diversified portfolio, inspired by stories of steady gains. His legacy is a reminder that wealth isn't just money, it's the freedom to live authentically. Start small, stay consistent, and let your efforts snowball. So, take Mark's challenge, don't wait for the perfect moment. Pick a goal, save your first dollar, and invest in your future. Your story of independence is waiting to be written. Start now, and make it yours.